this Thursday for the first preliminary hearings of his criminal trial on charges of insurrection following his declaration of martial law last December. The hearing, which took place at the Seoul Central District Court, aimed to clarify the facts in dispute and plan future legal procedures. Although South Korean law does not require the accused to attend a preliminary hearing, Yoon chose to do so. He has been detained since January 15th amid a criminal investigation into the alleged crime of insurrection for briefly declaring martial law in early December. The penalty for insurrection in South Korea is life imprisonment or capital punishment, for which there has been a moratorium since 1997. In other news, Germany prepares for parliamentary elections on February 23rd. A few days before the elections, our special envoy Yunus Soner reports from Berlin.
These are extraordinary times for German politics. The ruling coalition of Social Democrats, Greens and Liberals has failed to reach the end of its time, which would have been September 2025.
I think it is incredibly difficult to keep track of this early election campaign. And that's because many parties ultimately don't want to form a coalition with each other or can't imagine one. But there has to be a coalition.
Germany's economy has stopped growing for 2 years, with an official recession. Right-wing parties blame climate change policies, subsidies for renewable energy, discrimination of traditional energy. They propose deregulation in favor of oil and even a return to nuclear energy.
The decisions we take here in Germany have global consequences. We have responsibilities. And it is also time for us to grow up a little. Germany was occupied by foreign countries after the Second World War. And now we have to show that we can do justice to this economic power in foreign policy and also in climate policy.
59 million citizens are called to vote. 2 million less than in 2021, the last federal election. The voting population is decreasing. Despite this, right-wing and ultranationalist parties want to close doors to immigrants and expel those they can.
Migration is being dragged through the parties, but it is not the main issue. Migration is declining across Europe, but it is still being pushed as an issue.
Alternative for Germany Party, AfD, claims to be challenging the political system. None other than U.S. Vice President Vance called on the other parties to form a coalition with it, which they consider to be outside the democratic order.
I think it is extremely important to vote, and I have already done so by post, and what I think everyone hopes is that the AfD party does not become the strongest force in the country. And I hope that also the country will move forward again and that we will find the way back to commonality and go forward after so many problems.
The population will elect 630 members of parliament on Sunday. According to all polls, no party will have an absolute majority. The party with the most votes will have to build a majority. Then the new prime minister and the government will be elected. No mean feat with the programmatic differences that exist.
Yunus Soner, teleSUR, Berlin, Alemania. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro presided a meeting with the Board and National Commission for the Constitutional Reform. During the meeting, the Venezuelan head of state urged the commission to disseminate the 4 items of this constitutional reform, which will be discussed nationwide. Maduro further called on the Venezuelan people to take part in this great debate, stressing the need to resume the spirit of plurality and high participation of the 1999 constituent process. In this sense, the president spurred to use all available technological capabilities to encourage popular debates.
A day in which we must prepare the whole intense process to debate, to consult, to draft, and have the proposals for a constitutional reform 2025. It is a necessary and very complex task, but it must be solved with inclusive democratic methods.
Es una tarea necesaria, muy compleja, pero que hay que resolver con métodos incluyentes.
This means that we must listen to and take everyone into account, as we did in the consultation and debate of 1999. For the first time in history, the doors of this federal legislative palace were opened, and for the first time in history, the constituents, who are full members of parliament, went out for the first time to the countryside.
And we stay in Venezuela as the National Electoral Council, the CNE, set May 25th as the new date for the upcoming parliamentary elections. The president of the CNE, Luis Amoroso, declared that by virtue of the meetings between the electoral authorities and organizations of the Venezuelan democratic life, a new date was set for the elections of members of the National Assembly, governors, and legislative councils of the states. Amoroso pointed out that these modifications were made with the intention of promoting the participation of the different actors of society. In addition, the authority confirmed April 27th as the date for the second public consultation of the communes and communal circuits.
Consejo Nacional Electoral decide.
The National Electoral Council decides second national public consultation to choose communal circuit projects for Sunday, April 27, 2025.
27 de abril de 2025. Elecciones para Asamblea Nacional, gobernadores de Estado.
Elections for National Assembly, state governors and regional legislative councils to be held on Sunday, May 25, 2025.
Continue in Colombia as more cases and indictments of former military personnel involved in false positives or extrajudicial executions are known, now in the Department of Antioquia. Hernán Tovar expands with more details.
4 generales más 35 oficiales y
4 generals and more than 35 officers and ex-sub-officers were charged by the Special Jurisdiction for Peace for their alleged responsibility in war crimes and crimes against humanity, committed in the Department of Antioquia between 2004 and 2007 and when they belonged to the Army's 4th Brigade. According to the order read by the magistrates of the Reconnaissance Chamber, there was a systematic practice of body counts and killings over captures as a general rule, where pressure was exerted on the troops by senior commanders.
por parte de los altos mandos.
Así, por ejemplo, el general González.
Thus, for example, General González Peña urged the troops in radio programs broadcast between the 17th and the 21st of March 2000 for that, and I quote, "The only thing that counts are the casualties. Captures are of no use to us. The only thing that counts is to kill the enemy." And this type of statement was echoed by Rodríguez Clavijo, putting pressure on and threatening the men under his command.
Ejerciendo presión y amenazando a los hombres bajo su mando.
Fueron 440 personas asesinadas por ejecuciones extrajudiciales.
440 people were killed by extrajudicial executions or
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol appeared in court this Thursday for the first preliminary hearings of his criminal trial on charges of insurrection following his declaration of martial law last December. The hearing, which took place at the Seoul Central District Court, aimed to clarify the facts in dispute